you in your work. So I'll give you a little overview of the agenda. First, I will give you a brief overview of the Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance to get you some background knowledge. After this, Jessica from Practical Action will take over and introduce the portal and its main features to you, and then go into more detail on how you can collaborate with the portal. It is also great to have Jimena and Brenda from the Mexican Red Cross joining the webinar. They have both been part of the first phase of the Flood Resilience Alliance already, and Jimena will share some of their experiences with the Flood Resilience portal with us and how they use it within the community program in Mexico. And finally, we're happy to also have Ian from the 1 Billion Coalition for Resilience with us. He will talk about some of the links between the 1 Billion Coalition, the Flood Resilience Alliance, and the portal. So thank you to all of you who contribute to today's webinar, and a special thank you also to Margarita, who set up the webinar and is a great support regarding all the technical issues. About the webinar, so if you have any comments or questions, please post those questions in the chat, and we'll be monitoring and answer the questions once we see them. And if you want to talk, just click on the little hand item on the right bottom of the screen, and we will also see that and give you the chance to speak if you're connected with your microphone. As a general information, the webinar will be recorded to share with everyone who cannot take part in the webinar right now. So, brief overview of the Flood Resilience Alliance. Why do we focus on floods? Well, floods affect more people globally than any other type of natural hazard, and they cause some of the largest humanitarian, social, and economic losses. MDOT data indicates that in 2017, 335 natural disasters occurred, of which roughly 38% were floods, affecting around 55 million people worldwide. This resulted in more than 3,300 deaths and cost around $20.3 billion in economic damages. Also, flood risk is increasing due to several factors, including growing populations, urbanization, and economic development in hazard-prone areas, as well as unpredictable rainfall patterns and unsustainable land use practices. In July 2018, the Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance started into a second phase. It's running from 2018 to 2023. This multi-sectoral alliance is composed of 9 partners coming from the humanitarian, business, NGO, and research sectors. The 9 partners, namely, are the Zurich Insurance, the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, Practical Action, Mercy Corps, Plan International, Concern Worldwide, the Institute for Social and Environmental Transition, the International Institute for Applied System Analysis, and the London School of Economics. All the 9 partners have signed up to a partnership focused on flood resilience. We are working across 10 different countries, including Bangladesh, Montenegro, Mexico, and Peru, just to name a few. Over the course of the next 5 years, the Alliance's key aim is to use practical field-level experiences and research capabilities to influence a global change in approach to community flood resilience. The overall vision is that despite increasing frequency and severity of floods and the impact of climate change, floods do not have a negative impact on people's and businesses' ability to thrive. This means reducing losses, both financially and in terms of lives. It also means reducing disruption, for example, to children's education, which has a long-term effect. It also means enhancing livelihood opportunities, for example, changing farming methods or adopting alternative incomes during flood season. It will also include efforts to increase protection, better evacuation, and better natural flood defenses. The Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance has therefore selected 3 strategic objectives for the second phase. The first is increased and more effective financial investments in flood resilience. The second objective is improved global and national policy for increased ex-ante action to flood resilience. And the third objective is improved flood resilience practice by all the stakeholders. The 9 partners of the Alliance work in close collaboration towards achieving the 3 objectives. Now we're going to look more closely at the Flood Resilience Portal. It was created in the first phase of the Alliance and is an integral part of our work. It is an online space for sharing practical knowledge on how and why to build flood resilience. It brings together all the knowledge generated and exchanged through the Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance and beyond. The portal is aimed at those who live and who work in flood-prone areas. This includes local governments, development NGOs, community-based organizations, community members, and as well investors and donors. And with this, I will hand over to Jessica to introduce you to the portal. Jessica.
Thank you so much, Felicitas. So I would actually like to start us off by looking at a quick animation that we've produced to introduce the portal. And yeah, that's it there on the screen. This is so hot off the press that I'm really sorry I don't actually have a link to share with you guys. So we're going to have to watch the video together on the webinar. And hopefully this works fine. But if anyone does experience problems, just raise it up in the chat and I will share a link with you after the event so that you can watch it properly. So if we could just start that off.
Do you live or work in a community that is affected by floods? If so, you'll probably know that it is just a matter of time before the next flood, and you need to be prepared. Whether you're a homeowner, community group, government official, or flood professional, making the right choices is vital. But when looking for ways to reduce risk and keep life running normally, it can be hard to know where to start. The Flood Resilience Portal is an online space designed to give you easy access to all the information and guidance you need to be ready for floods. Browse a curated resource library of the latest research, learn from case studies and tried and tested experience, discover new tools and practical solutions, or get locally specific guidance on our Latin American and Nepalese portals. You can also collaborate with the Flood Resilience Portal by asking a question to our expert team, sharing your own experiences or solutions, and signing up for email updates or joining us on social media. Floods affect over 250 million people every year, and this number is only set to increase. The time to act is now. Discover how the Flood Resilience Portal can help you and others be ready for floods.
Okay, great. So hopefully that was that worked for everybody, and that gave you a better kind of flavour of what the Flood Resilience Portal is aiming to do and who it speaks to. But I want to just go into the portal itself now and share a few things in a bit more detail. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so again, give me a shout if this isn't working. But I would say, okay, so the first things first is how do you actually get onto the Flood Resilience Portal in the first place? So just head over to Google, floodresilience.net, or type Flood Resilience Portal into the Google search browser, and that will take you to the homepage of the portal itself. So once you're on the homepage, you'll have access to all those features that you saw on the animation. So in resources, there is a resource library that's updated daily. And at the top here, you'll see blogs where we feature guest posts as well as articles written from inside the Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance. On the homepage, you can also find links to the 2 connected sister portals that give regionally specific guidance for Latin America and Nepal. To be very clear here, the site that I'm showing you now is the Global Flood Resilience Portal, which shares internationally applicable guidance in English as a default. But you can also find all the Spanish and Nepali resources on this portal by changing the language that you're searching in. So all of the resources on all 3 of the portals are available in this one space. Okay, so that's kind of the basics, but to show you things that maybe are more relevant to your day-to-day and your work, I want to show you a couple of things specifically. So the first of those things is the Solutions Finder, which you find at the top here under the Resources tab. Now, the Flood Resilience Portal specifically aims to deliver practical and actionable ways to increase flood resilience, and the Solutions Finder allows you to browse through the collection of tried and tested approaches to increasing that resilience. Some of these solutions have come directly from projects within the Flood Resilience Alliance, and others are from wider experience and settings. So you can search through all of the solutions on the portal by choosing the stage of the DRR cycle that you're particularly focusing on, a specific capital that you're aiming to strengthen, or one of the 4 R's of resilience. The other thing that you can do is you can search by a particular keyword or search term. So for example, I'll type in ecosystem to give me all of the ecosystem-based approaches to building resilience. Okay, and the second thing that I want to highlight is that the Flood Resilience Portal isn't just about giving out information. Actually, what we want to do is create a community of people with experience in flood resilience and share knowledge within that community. So if you do have any resources or experiences that you would like to share with the portal and that you think would be valuable, then you can just head up to the top here where it says Share Your Resources, and click on that and send us anything that you have, be it a report, be it a toolkit, be it a solution of your own. Additionally, if you can't find what you're looking for on the portal but think that it would be valuable, then there's this button here, Submit a Question. Jump onto that, send us a question to the portal, and we'll share that with all of the experts within the Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance, and they can come together to try and find an answer for you. And so finally, just to say that as the portal is being updated every day, and actually we're working right now on a number of new exciting features and toolkits and resources that I think will be really useful for you, it's well worth kind of keeping up to date with the portal and signing up to get alerts of when these new things are coming out. So the best way to keep in touch with the portal is to jump back over to the home page, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see here that you can sign up for the newsletter. This comes out every few months, or when we have something to share, or it will send you an email to alert you of a new feature, for example. And you'll see that you can also sign up for the Latin American and the Nepalese portals while you're at it. And the other way that you can keep in touch is to follow us on Twitter. So you can go to this from the portal here, or you can just go straight onto Twitter and type in @FloodAlliance. So, top tips there for the portal to sum up. Once you're done looking through the resource library and the blog, do have an explore of the Solutions Finder, and then remember that you can collaborate with the portal by sharing your resources, sending us a question, signing up to the newsletter, or following us on social media. And I'll make sure that I send out all the links for you to do all of those things along with the recording of this webinar. And that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much, Jessica. With this, I would hand over to Jimena. Jimena?
Hey there, this is Brenda. I'd like to start this conversation with you. I'm the Country Program Coordinator from Mexico, and thank you for this opportunity to share. It has been very important for Mexico to have some spaces for the dissemination of the contents and lessons learned, as well as the place to consult experience related to the floods in other countries. So I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to Jimena Cuevas, who is the knowledge manager for the program in Mexico, and who will be following up on the exchange of experience and content related to the program and activities in the communities. So welcome, Jimena.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimena, and I want to share with you how we can use the portal. The main question that is, how can the portal support you in your work? And we think the portal has support us in two main ways. The first one is what we find in the portal, and the second one, how we share the information. So in the first point, what we find, and firstly, we found an overall information. The portal provides us an overall information about floods, and that is constantly updating about the topic. So we are all the time knowing what is happening. We also know about diverse experiences. We can know the different experiences of other countries. For example, about early warning systems or about education or whatever it's research that you can find in the portal. And it's very useful because we can know what is working for some communities or for some countries and what is not working for others. So this knowledge exchanging is very supportive for us. Also, we can find in the portal the specific informations in the topics. Like previously, Jessica has told us about education or energy, food, every topic, and because this is very useful because information is classified in the specific topics. So for us, it's super easy to find information already classified, and it's very good how it's organized the information because it's organized in such a way that we are able to grow up our knowledge and have more elements about a single topic. Because either you look for a video or any document or article, you have a bunch of related other documents. So we have a very wider perspective about one topic in the same place. Other thing is the sharing information. We can share this information about the new experience or about maybe theoretical issues about the floods or the early warning systems with the community. We can use this information and then translate the information through workshops or talks in the communities or in our own workshops in the program. In the second point that I want to highlight is how we share the information. We have already shared our technical solutions. We have shared specific successful cases of the communities in Tabasco. Specifically those solutions that the community have found useful to be more resilient. We already have in the portal three. One is Plecostomos, Alternative Family Income and Livelihood. The second one, Farm Animal Protection, is called Tapescos. And the Puppet Theater Community, Puppet Theater as a participatory alternative method to strengthen flood resilience. So if you read these specific cases, you can know what is working in these particular communities. Also, we have shared videos both in the portal in its English version as well in the in Spanish one. We have shared a video specifically of what we have done in Mexico. Other documents about news, reports of the program, and we are going to continue with the next contributions. We can continue using the portal to share the future technical solutions, the reports. This portal helps us to show our work and constantly updating what we are doing. And I want to highlight a third point. We already have a blog here in Spanish that is called Noticias del Programa Resiliencia ante Inundaciones México, that is written, of course, in Spanish, and in which we use to publish the news about the program. We used to send this information to be published both in the newsletter and in the portal in Spanish version as news, but we were wondering to have a permanent space in the portal in order to regularly update about the program in Mexico. We would like, if possible, to be posted in the portal, having maybe a blog link there or in a specific space. Maybe this is an opportunity or a point to take into account. And I think the portal is very useful for us and for everyone. And that is all that I want to say.
Great, thank you so much, Jimena and Brenda. That was very interesting. Yeah, and a good point, the third one about the blog that you're already creating, and we can have, of course, a discussion on this. Or is there any immediate reaction, these suggestions from Jessica?
Hi, yeah. So we've been looking into specific spaces within the portal for featuring all kinds of different content, because obviously we're sharing much wider information than just within the Zurich Flood Resilience Program. But there's so much valuable guidance coming out of that program that it really is a showcase for that work. And so any way that we can show and highlight that work better is great. So we're very up for finding dedicated spaces for that.
Great, thank you, Jessica. If there are no questions, reactions at the moment, I will hand over to Ian, who will talk about the links between the Flood Resilience Alliance and the 1 Billion Coalition for Resilience.
There's questions.
Is there questions? Okay. Okay, I have the questions here from Francis Rogers. I mean, the idea of this webinar is really to share with you the Flood Resilience portal, and you can, of course, use that and also contribute to it. And yeah, if you're more interested in the Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance, then you can also approach us directly, and we can have bilateral conversations on what you're working on in resilience. Okay. I will then hand over to Ian, who is with us in Geneva.
All right.
Ian.
Thank you, Felicitas. And maybe this will build a little bit on this idea of how we think about using both the resources, but the partnership opportunities within the Alliance more generally within our networks. So the 1 Billion Coalition is really looking at this idea of how do we engage our networks more fully. So it's something that's been convened by the Red Cross, and looking at how can we use our Red Cross network and tap into the extensive network we have in 191 countries and 165,000 local branches, local units, but also looking too at how do we work with other organizations to look at leveraging our networks and really increasing the opportunities for collaboration locally. That said, we've been quite interested, I think, in seeing the development and the growth of the Flood Resilience Portal. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for sharing local solutions on flood resilience. Certainly when we look at the diverse range of aspects that are included in resilience as a whole, it's clear that we need these types of centers of excellence, that focus in on specific areas and look at specific topics like flood resilience. At the same time, of course, there's other aspects of resilience that are being covered in a variety of other platforms and channels. And that are hosting other types of solutions. So I think we're quite interested in continuing to work with the Zurich Resilience Alliance to really explore opportunities for sharing across platforms and looking at opportunities related to things like interoperability, and modular approaches that could help us really extend the range of solutions that we can share. So looking forward, I think we're very excited about the opportunities that we have, particularly through different types of digital engagement. I mean, obviously, this kind of platform exists on the web, We're also interested in like how do we think about other kinds of engagement with social media, or being able to draw from different kinds of the solutions and other resources into mobile apps that partners are developing, into engagements that we're having in social media tools like Facebook or Twitter or WhatsApp. So I think a lot of the discussions we've been having too are looking at that kind of forward vision, of how can we build from these kind of platforms too to enable other kinds of sharing across multiple channels, and really maybe thinking about ways we can connect the flood resilience solutions in the portal with other kinds of solutions that are being developed. For the 1 Billion Coalition in particular, we've started to collect different kinds of examples and tools, for example, on some of them maybe what we think of as support services necessary for local solutions on resilience. So looking at things like resources and tools around people-centered design, around mobilizing strategies, around fundraising and local resource mobilization, around partnership development. I think we're really excited to look at ways to combine these different examples and tools, with the flood-specific solutions that are on the portals, but looking at ways we can mix and match, maybe between platforms. And again, using solutions that really look at sort of like digital interoperability, like how can we exchange solutions between platforms, how can we share feeds, how can we promote resources that are in the Flood Resilience Portal and other kinds of platforms that we have into some of the networks where people are. So really thinking about how can we engage more too in social media, using tools like the UNICEF's U-Report tool, or using some of the work that the Red Cross has been doing between the American Red Cross and the IFRC on social media chatbots. But how can we think about drawing in some of these wonderful resources too? Once we have them sort of published and shared on the internet, like how can we also look at helping to help people really learn about, discover, and share these types of solutions in their own networks, and in networks where they already are. So really looking at, some of these chances again at social media engagement. So yeah, I just wanted to mention a few, I guess, of the ideas we've had about how we could sort of keep building on this kind of work, how we can look at ways to seed this into other initiatives we have around communications, around information sharing. And I think we're very excited to see, both the high quality of the solutions that are being shared, the enthusiasm, among the communities that have participated in the Alliance so far in sharing information. But then too, looking at this wider network that we have in terms of the Red Cross footprint, but our partner organizations' footprints too in different communities around the world, and how can we engage those communities kind of in this wider net. So I think, yeah, we're very much excited to keep working together on this. I think our part in this has too been sort of forward-looking and not sort of, these I think are things that will develop more in the year or two ahead. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to engaging with you all as we move forward.
Great, thank you, Ian. We're looking forward to this as well, collaborating more. Okay, and then now we would open the space for questions or comments. So remember, if you have any question, you can just write it in the chat, or if you want to comment on something, just click on the hand icon on the right on the bottom, and we'll give you the space. Any questions, comments?
Some questions. Has the Alliance considered any flood case study from Africa? And another question, what level of participation, if any, does the United States have in this program? If any of the presenters would like to answer, please go ahead.
Okay, yes, Jessica?
Hi, yeah, I can answer that quickly from the portal perspective. So although the Alliance isn't working on the ground in either the United States or in any African countries currently, the Global Flood Resilience Portal does definitely have an international focus. So we're very keen to collect case studies and experience and resources from the global context. So if you have anything to share, either from those countries or written by organizations based in those countries, we would happily showcase it on the portal.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jessica. So the next question is, what level of participation, if any, does the United States have in this program? So part of the Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance is also that we have a so-called PERC. It's a post-event review capability that is looking into disasters that have happened and kind of doing a study on why it turned out to be such a bad disaster. And in 2017-18, the Flood Resilience Alliance was doing a PERC in the United States, in Houston, on the Hurricane Harvey. And that was so far, I think, the only participation of the U.S. in the Zurich Flood Resilience Alliance, as far as I am concerned.
There was one earlier one, maybe in 2016, with another flood event in South Carolina.
So they also had
right.
They also made a PERC. Okay. What next question?
But those are all resources that should be available on the portal. I think the Houston one, those products from that are still being finalized, but a lot of focus around small businesses and the role of small business preparedness and resilience in broader community resilience for floods. So it should be a really interesting resource.
Yeah, you can find all of the PERC resources on the portal. They're a content type in the resources, so you can find them from all the different countries.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we see some hands, some users who have cleared their icons, but remember that in order to speak, you need to connect your microphone. So unfortunately, if you haven't connected your microphones, you won't be able to speak. But you can always post your questions in the chat. So I see Lucille and Andrina who have their hands raised. You need to connect your microphones first so we can give you the floor.
Okay. Right, so we're waiting for people to connect their microphones.
Okay, so we have another question. Can you kindly speak to my membership concern? So someone, Francis, is again speaking about, he wants to know more about membership.
Okay. Does anyone else want to answer these questions? Otherwise, I will just give a brief answer to this. Yeah. So, as we already said, to be part of the portal or to contribute to the portal and also make use of the resources, anyone, please feel free to do so. To talk about membership, we can do that on a bilateral conversation. So please feel free to reach out to us. And we can discuss that. You can reach out to any of the members, like IFRC or, Practical Actions. Okay, I see that Andrina managed to unmute her microphone. So please, Andrina, go ahead with your question.
So in the meantime, we have another question from the IFRC Nepal country office. They want to know how they can replicate good practices from the global portal.
Hi, thank you for your question. Yeah, that is actually totally up to you. You have full access to all the resources on the Flood Resilience portal. If you feel that there is any solution or any good practice, any case study that you feel really fits the context in Nepal, then feel free to replicate. And how you do this, that is totally up to you. So the portal is just meant to share all the experiences. Yeah. Good. Andrina? Did you manage so far? No. Okay, doesn't look like it. Okay. Maybe some of the others.
Yeah, and Jimena, feel free to post your question in the chat because we are not listening. We are not being able to hear you. And if someone else has any other comments.
Like Jimena, maybe.
Jimena, we see that you have raised your hand. Do you have? Yeah.
I only want to contribute to the last questions about how they can replicate the technical solutions or the practical knowledge in other communities. I think it's very useful to read the technical solutions and to understand the different context, because some practical knowledge it will work in some places and will not work in others. But if we have maybe similar context, we can see if this is working. And I think it's very useful to read the different technical solutions and can replicate in the same way, or to use the cultural ways to do it. But I think it's a very good example to follow the different technical solutions.
Great. Thank you very much, Jimena. That was thank you. So if there are no other questions, I see at the moment we don't have any other additional questions in the chat and no raised hands. So in that case, we would finish here with the webinar. Thank you all very much for taking part in it today. We hope, of course, that the portal can support you in your work and that one or the other will also contribute to the portal's content. And remember, as Jessica said, there's 4 ways you can be engaged. It's 1, you can share your resources, or 2nd, you could submit the question, 3rd, you can sign up for the newsletter, and lastly, you can follow the Flood Resilience Alliance on social media. So thank you very much, and yeah, have a good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for the invitation.